Hi YouTube. I just wanted to hit on a couple topics in this video. I want to talk about where we are as far as the price of silver goes, and I also want to talk about bullion dealers. When they have a sale, is that a predictor for the future price? Recently when Provident Metals had their sale for generic Morgan rounds for 29 cents over spot, I did read a lot of comments about people saying that the bullion dealers know. They know that the price of silver is going down, and that they're actually clearing out inventory in anticipation of that. So let's just discuss this stuff. So as far as where we are right now, look, we've been range bound for what seems like forever. Okay, 1850 to 2150-ish, 2175, and at some point we were either going to break out or we were going to break down below. It wasn't going to stay in this channel forever. One of the two had to happen. And honestly, I do believe that this time is different. I think that the lows will be broken. Excuse me. And I think that we're going to dip below 18. 1750-ish, 1775. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I'm going to link Moment in Trading's channel. He has done a fantastic job recently of breaking down all of the miners, their earnings reports. They're still bringing a lot of supply to the market. They're actually reining in some of their costs. And, demand is down. Demand for physical bullion is down. There's no way to candy coat it. It's happened pretty abruptly. Silver and gold's relative underperformance to other assets and the strengthening dollar has really put us out of favor. And it's happened right as we're at the bottom of this channel. So I do believe that its price performance has been really weak. Usually when you see a drop like this, you like to see some kind of snapback rally, any kind of dead cat bounce, and we're just not seeing it, not even close. It'll go up a penny or two, 3, 4, 5 cents, and then drop another quarter. And it just doesn't bode well. So I think once support is broken, it's going to have to find a new floor. And like I said, I don't think below 18 is out of the realm of possibility. Now I know I'll get somebody on here that'll say, "Oh, 18? Are you kidding me? We're going to see 12. We're going to see 10." All right, whatever. I mean, people are calling for all kinds of dire predictions. So what would I do here? My opinion. This is why you've been buying, some of the premium coins that you've been buying. This is why you've been buying some of the lunar coins you've been buying. This is why, maybe you got lucky with the Zombuck Walker, okay, which is still selling for $50 on eBay. Okay, this is the time to basically ring the register on some of that stuff, cash it in, sell it, and get the premium for it. And then what I would do is I would wait for 1757, 1775-ish, and I would load up on the cheapest 10-ounce bars you can. I was kicking around APMEX and Provident Metals, and right now the cheapest bars that I found were Provident Metals branded bars. They're actually OPM bars, but with the Provident Metals brand on it. And those were the cheapest bars that I saw. So what I would do is I would take some profits on the coins that have really appealed to collectors, that they're willing to pay a premium for, and then I would turn around and get the ounces that you could. It's funny because I know a lot of you bought Walkers because 300 people took advantage of that sale. Okay, and if you're still holding like a tube or two of those things, now would be a great time to sell those to people that enjoy collecting that series, and then you can really stack some ounces. I was actually doing the math, and for those $50 coins, you could end up basically turning 35 ounces of silver into 100 ounces. Okay, if you went from the premium stuff down to the generic. And a lot of the premium stuff held its premium very well. And what you're seeing now is the prices, they're going to stay stubbornly high. You're not going to get great deals on lunar coins, okay? And in my opinion, they're simply too expensive here. I'm not going to go out and pay, a 70% premium over spot for lunar goats. It's just not going to happen. And even the 2-ounce coins, which have traditionally been a much better value and something that I enjoy, I'm not going to pay that kind of premium there either. I think the dealers are going to kind of stick to their guns a little bit on some of the premium stuff, and you're not going to see a much lower price. So how do you combat that? You buy the lower premium stuff. That's just simply how I would approach this. You know, a lot of you may be down about the price of silver, but again, I'm telling you, anytime I have a successful flip, maybe you have the Poseidon coin, maybe you have the Zeus coin, you know, book those profits and turn around and add some ounces. And it just, you know, it's a pretty good feeling when you're able to get that many ounces for basically free. So that's just how I'd handle it. However you want to do it is fine. But this is definitely going to present some opportunities for those that want more ounces. I would also think strongly about buying the 25th anniversary Kookaburra. That is going to sell out, obviously, and as it gets closer to selling out, you're going to see that premium going up. So this is pretty much, I think, as cheap as you're going to see that coin. So $23 or so, I wouldn't even hesitate to buy that. I think that's a no-brainer. As far as any of the new releases, you can check that one right under the no-brainer box. I think that's going to do nothing but kind of drift up, especially as it gets closer to a sellout. So you can take advantage of the lower prices here and certainly buy some of the Kookaburras. As far as the Lunars go, like I said, as much as I love the Lunar series, you know, the snakes, I remember, were only a couple dollars more than an eagle. Okay, it was basically, you know, the eagles were $2.50, $3 over spot. The Kookaburras were $1 more, and the lunar coins were $1 more than that. It was right in line with an eagle, just a little bit more. Now it's ridiculous, and I'm simply not going to pay that kind of premium. I didn't with the horses last year. I went with the 2 ounce, which was a better value. That's just kind of the way that I'm playing that. Again, my opinion, just the way I'm doing it. But if you have anything that has gone up in value as the price of silver has gone down, ring that register. So bullion dealers. So when Provident Metals had their big sale, you know, I read a lot of comments about how they were basically, you know, it was a tell. They knew that price of silver was going down, therefore they had this sale. Now, obviously the price has come down. So did that prophecy come true? No, I don't think that it did. So let's demystify a little bit, okay? Let's just call them what they are, so that we can kind of, you know, it's not like they're part of the shadowy network. You know, they're all part of it. They're online silver and gold stores, okay? That's all they are. So let's just call them an online silver and gold store. And when you think about it in terms of just being a store, and you think of them as being part of the supply chain, you know, mine it, refine it, mint it, sell it, you know, basically they're just like any other store. They have a purchasing manager. Okay, and what they do is they look at last year's sales trends. They look at last year, the same week last year, what they sold for, say, Eagles. They look at their inventory levels. They look at trends, and then they basically place their order. Well, I think what happened this summer is it was kind of the perfect storm for a lot of these dealers, okay? Demand dried up pretty quickly, and suddenly the 2015 designs started coming out. So now they're holding 2014 designs. There's been less demand for all of their other products, and now the 2015 designs are coming out. There's really only one choice that they have. They have to cut their prices. They have to move that product. They have to react to their inventory levels. That's what they're reacting to, not the future price. They're not making predictions. If they could predict the price of silver, they'd all be on the beach somewhere, you know, billionaires. I mean, anybody that can predict the price of a commodity would be taking advantage of that in droves. No, they're just simply reacting to their inventory levels. Okay, and that's kind of what they were doing there. And also, with Provident Metals, you have a bullion dealer or an online silver and gold store that is actively trying to take market share from their competitors. Okay, and the way to do that is to drop the price on certain products, to have a loss leader in some way. And plus, they have their own in-house mint. So they're making the Zombucks themselves. So imagine the profit margin on their own generic rounds, a very popular series that they're minting. Okay, I'm not sure how the new Hercules series is doing, but you know, they sold the generic Lunar horse rounds last year. They're doing pretty well. You know, they went out and sponsored a race car. You know, if they were really suffering, I doubt that they'd be spending that kind of money on a race car. Not every bullion dealer can say the same thing. You know, Merit Gold actually just went out of business. And you're going to see some of the weaker players start to go out of business. I didn't like Merit Gold's business model. They tried to act more like a broker. You know, they would cold call you if you're one of their clients. You had to place large minimum orders. I just don't think that that plays well, and I think that showed by them going out of business. But you're going to see others go out. There's no question. Some of the secondary players are definitely going to go under, but that's two in a relatively short period of time. You know, Telving first, and then Merit Gold. I don't think it's the last one, but a big part of that sale, I believe, was Provident trying to do a couple things. Generate a little bit of buzz, get some word of mouth. Now, I know at least 3 videos. I know Mr. Vegeta covered it. I know that the Day Trade Show covered it, and I did as well. So at least 3 videos and probably 6,000 or so eyeballs watched this free advertising basically for Provident on this sale. That's not too bad. Okay, I mean, what do you think a targeted ad would cost if they went out and tried to target 6,000, a captive audience of 6,000 people, 6,000 potential customers? You know, quite a bit. You know, it's not like we've talked about this before. You know, when Miller Lite buys an advertisement on the Super Bowl, it's completely lost on me. I'm not going to drink their beer no matter what. You know, I don't drink beer. So they're literally paying for my eyeballs, but there's not a chance that I'm going to buy. Whereas, you know, when you're able to market it through social media, Facebook, or, you know, it gets free word of mouth on YouTube, that's pretty valuable. So I think that's what you're seeing with a lot of these sales, is trying to take market share from the competitors and reacting to their inventory. You know, sometimes they're able to pass along a deal. You know, maybe the U.S. Mint has a lot of excess inventory, so they kind of push it towards the bullion dealers, and they lower the premiums. And then the dealer can then lower that and pass it along to the consumer. I'm sure that happens as well. You know, when Big Lots has a sale on beanbag chairs, nobody accuses them of trying to predict the future price of beanbag, right? So, you know, when Amazon has a sale on Harry Potter books, nobody thinks that they're trying to predict the future price of Harry Potter books. But for some reason with the bullion dealers, when they have a sale, it must mean the price of silver is going down, the price of gold is going down. I just don't think it's the case. Treat them like they're any other store, and think about their model in that way, and it may make a little bit more sense. All right, guys. Hey, good talking to you again. I realize that my video count has been down. It's for a good reason. But I have not lost my enthusiasm. I have not lost my zest. So, you know, I hope to talk to you soon.